proclamation given by Councilman Markovich.
Lord, tonight we conduct a city council meeting. We ask that all our decisions and information received to us will be on the up and up, and our decision will be made with the information made available to us. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Number 2 on the agenda is roll call. Roll call vote.
Markovich.
Here.
Spitali.
Here.
Vanez.
Here.
Kalwinski.
Here.
Salinas.
Here.
Poland.
Here.
Opinker.
Here.
Enosa.
Here.
Higgs.
Here, let the record reflect 9 are present, 0 are absent. Number 3 on the agenda is reading of the minutes. Reading of the minutes.
Mr. President,
Councilman Opinker.
in the minutes, ordinance 1144, there's going to be a correction on it. It's going to come out in the third and final reading. With that correction, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from 10/24/11.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Opinker, second by Councilman Spitali, that we accept the minutes with the correction as noted. Ordinance 11-44 was passed, and it needs to be corrected, and we'll be doing that on third and final reading tonight. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Any discussion on the minutes? Any discussion on the minutes? Roll call vote for the exception of the minutes.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vanez.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes. Motion passes 9 in favor, 0 are absent. Next on the agenda is approval of claims. Approval of claims.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
move for register of claims dated October 19th through November 9th for council meeting November 14th, beginning with claims dated 10/24/11 and ending with claims dated 11/9/11, claims number 5341 through claims number 5732. I so move.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilwoman Poland, that we accept the claims dated October 19, 2011 through November 9, 2011 for council meetings scheduled on November 14. Starting with claim 5341 and ending in claim
732.
5732. Is there any discussion on the claims? 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 Roll call vote on the claims.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yep.
Vanez.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes. Motion passes 9 in favor, 0 are absent. Next on the agenda is number 5. It's a public hearing. A.
Item A, ordinance 11-40, sponsored by Councilman Salinas. The petitioners, the Hammond Redevelopment Commission. An ordinance vacating a portion of alley lying between lots 1 and 2 of Rimback and Sibley, addition to the city of Hammond, Lake County, Indiana.
Anyone wishing to speak to this item and this item alone may do so by stepping to the podium. The public hearing is now open. The public hearing is now open. Public hearing is now open. The public hearing is now closed. Number 6 on the agenda is communications. Communications.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
I would like to read a letter and have it entered into the record from myself to Dr. Michael Unger, manager of the Hammond Sanitary District at 5143 Columbia Avenue, Hammond, Indiana. Dear Dr. Unger, on Friday, November 4, 2011, the United States Department of Justice announced it had charged Tierra Environmental and Industrial Services, Inc., centralized waste treatment facility in East Chicago, Indiana, its owner, Ronald Holmes, and a manager, Stuart Roth, with conspiracy and felony violations of the Clean Water Act in a 7-count indictment returned by the federal grand jury. According to the indictment, Tierra's East Chicago facility did not hold a permit to discharge industrial waste to the East Chicago Sanitary District's sewer system, and the facility's connection to that sanitary sewer system had been sealed shut. The company therefore had to transport wastewaters it collected from customers to other facilities for final treatment and/or disposal. The indictment alleges that the conspiracy was undertaken for the purpose of avoiding expenses associated with treating and/or paying other facilities to lawfully treat, store, or dispose of wastewaters collected from customers. The indictment alleges that the defendants conspired to achieve this objective by transporting wastewater to a shut-down, unpermitted facility located at 141st Street, Hammond, Indiana, that was owned and/or controlled by Ronald Holmes. There, the wastewater was discharged directly to the Hammond Sanitary District's sewer system. As we are all aware, the allegations in an indictment are mere accusations, and all persons are presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. Considering all of this information, I am requesting you investigate this matter and determine if unauthorized discharges did occur from the 141st property without the required Hammond Sanitary District discharge permit. If so, I request that you take the necessary steps to seal that discharge so as to prevent any future unauthorized discharges that may adversely impact the residents of Hammond and your wastewater treatment plant. In addition, if unauthorized wastewater discharges from 141st Street are in fact documented, I request that you initiate steps to collect the proper discharge fees from the responsible parties and not have the cost of treatment of these unauthorized discharges borne by district customers. Lastly, I request you take enforcement action against all the responsible parties for discharging into the sewer system without the required Hammond Sanitary District permit. I view this as a very serious matter and would appreciate a response to my request so that I can keep the residents of the 1st District informed on this matter. Sincerely, Mark Kowinski, 1st District Councilman. Thank you.
Any other communications? I do have one. It says it was for Attorney Burgess. It says Attorney Burgess, Hammond County Council, Attorney 5925 Cabin Avenue. Re-area in the council meeting October 24, 2011 for tonight's approval. Dear Attorney Burgess, I reviewed the draft of the council meeting minutes from October 24, 2011 and have discovered an error which I wish to bring to your attention prior to tonight's council meeting. I have attached the ordinance and the minutes in question for the review, as well as the section 3047 of the Hammond Municipal Code. On page 7 of the proposed council minutes incorrectly indicated that ordinance 9116 has passed, when in fact the ordinance did not pass in accordance with the procedures authorized by the Hammond Municipal Code. Hammond Municipal Code section 3047 clearly indicates that once a suspension of the rules occurs, the occurrence here, there must be anonymous vote from the council members present. In ordinance 9116, this anonymous vote did not occur as the councilman from the 1st District voted no, and therefore ordinance 9116 did not pass on 3rd and final reading. On this ordinance concerns financial matters, I feel the State Board of Accounts would consider this transfer invalid as the ordinance authorizing the transfer was not passed in the correct manner. If the transfer of funds was valid, it could be argued that the expenditure of the transfer funds would also be funds was invalid. It could be argued that the expenditure of the transfer funds would also be invalid. I ask you to please correct the minutes in Schedule 1114 in the third and final reading in accordance with the Hammond Municipal Code. Thank you for your time and attention in this matter. Christina Cantar. That's the ordinance we're going to pass tonight. And I got another correspondence from the Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce, General Membership Luncheon, Wednesday, November 13th, 2011, 11:30 a.m. Networking, 12 o'clock lunch, Hammond Marina, 701 Casino Drive, Hammond, Indiana. Topics, 3 minutes of fame and local not-for-profit, including Lake Area United Way and Legend Sea Foundation. Reservations are required. Please call Lakeshore Chamber office at 219-931-1000. Cost $17. Please RSVP by November 28, 2011. We accept Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. You can prepay over the phone to avoid long registration lines. Any other communication? Any other communications? Also, I did get an opportunity, I think it was last week or the week before, to go to the ribbon cutting for the new health center that's going to be placed in my district at the Philistine Health and Service Center, and I am extremely pleased to have that a part of our community, and I look forward to working with the doctors as well as the city in terms of making sure that they're adequately staffed and any resources that are available that can be utilized to make it a better place. Any other communications? Any other communications? Any other communications? Communications is now closed. Next on the agenda is committee reports. Committee reports, number 7.
Mr. President,
Councilman O'Pinker.
under council as a whole, I'd like to bring out 1141.
Any other committee reports?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Poland.
Streets and Alleys would like to bring out 1143, the third and final.
Streets and Alleys bringing out 1143. Councilman Hinojosa.
Council as a whole would like to bring out 1144.
Council as a whole bringing out 11-34. Is there any other committee reports? Any other committee report? Any other committee reports? Committee reports is now closed. Next on the agenda is ordinances on third reading and final passage.
Mr. President. Okay.
You may proceed, Clerk Golden.
Item 8, ordinance 11-41, sponsored by Councilman O'Pinker, an ordinance to amend and replace flood hazard area ordinance 9095 by establishing provisions for flood hazards in accordance with the State of Indiana Model Ordinance for Flood Hazard Areas.
Mr. President,
Councilman O'Pinker.
I'd like to move for third and final reading of 1141.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman O'Pinker, second by Councilman Spitali, that we move on third and final reading 11-41. Any discussion on 11-41? Any discussion? Any discussion?
Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
maybe they should give a synopsis of what this ordinance is and what's going on about it. The sponsor could do that so that we can let our internet people know what's going on.
Councilman O'Pinker, you're the sponsor.
Yes. I think Brian Poland left.
Brian left.
No, he's in the
Brian's
back.
here. Well,
Brian's
basically what it is, you want me to?
If you can, if you know how.
Brian is more knowledgeable of it. Come on, Brian. They want to hear you again. Discuss the flood plan for the great city of Hammond.
All right. This ordinance is to amend an ordinance for the floodplain ordinances that was passed in February or March. What it is doing is making some technical corrections to the ordinance and to reflect the new floodplain maps that will become effective in January of 2012, as well as making some other technical corrections that DNR had requested. Yes?
Thank you. Councilman Markovich, did you get all that?
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns as it relates to the floodplain? My hope is that, in reality, that those individuals that were affected in the floodplain, this will give them some relief as it relates to their flood insurance. And being one of those individuals that got an opportunity to see the aftermath of a flood, especially in Munster, it was just devastating. And so I'm hoping that this somehow will alleviate the stress of paying such high premiums as it relates to insurance. So is there any other discussion as it relates to 11-41? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call vote on 11-41.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passed, 9 in favor, 0 are absent.
Ordinance 11-43, sponsored by Councilwoman Poland. An ordinance designating Madison as a one-way street going north between 171st and 169th Street.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Poland.
I move for third and final reading on ordinance 1143.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilwoman Poland, second by Councilman Opinker, that we pass 11-43 on its third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion on 11-43? Roll call vote on 11-43.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 9 in favor, 0 are absent.
Ordinance 11-44, sponsored by Councilman Higgs. An ordinance authorizing the city controller to transfer from one line item to another within the budget of the Hammond Common Council.
Mr. President,
Councilman Hinojosa.
I move for final passage of 11-44.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilman Salinas, that we pass on the third and final reading 11-44. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Hinojosa.
yeah, this is to transfer money from one line item to another that we do every year.
Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
No.
Vines.
No.
Kalwinski.
No.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
No.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 5 in favor and 4 noes.
President Higgs, that concludes the ordinances for final passage.
Thank you, Clerk Golick. Next on the agenda is introduction of ordinances.
Item A. Ordinance 11-45, sponsored by Councilman Higgs. An ordinance fixing the salaries for elected city officials for the city of Hammond, Indiana, commencing January 1, 2012, be it ordained by the Common Council of the city of Hammond, Indiana.
Mr. President,
Councilman Hinojosa.
motion for first and second reading of 11-45 and to be placed in council as a whole.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilman Salinas, that we passed on first and second reading by title, 11-45, and replace in council as a whole. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Motion passes.
Item B, ordinance 11-46, sponsored by Councilman Salinas. An ordinance appropriating the proceeds of the annual action plan and dealing with other matters pertaining to the expenditure of plan proceeds for the program year 2012.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Salinas.
yeah, I move for first and second reading of 11-46. Set a public hearing for 12/12 of 11, or I think it's going to be 12/16? 19. 12/19.
No, it can stay, the public hearing can stay on 12/12. We're going to have a special meeting on the 19th. So it's fine where it's at.
Okay, we'll keep it as it is, okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Salinas, second by Councilman Opinka, that we move on first and second reading by title, 11-46. Is there any discussion? With the public hearing scheduled on 12/12/2011, our next council meeting. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
Item C, ordinance 11-47, sponsored by Councilman Kalwinski. An ordinance authorizing the city controller to transfer funds from one line item to another within various city 2011 budgets.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
I move that 1147 pass through first and second reading and be referred to council as a whole.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Kowinski, second by Councilman Opinka, that we move 11-47 on the first and second reading by title and refer to council as a whole. Is there any discussion on 11-47? Any discussion on 11-47? Any discussion on 11-47? Roll call vote on 11-47.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes 9 in favor, 0 absent.
Item D, ordinance 11-48, sponsored by Councilman Salinas. An ordinance to amend ordinance 9112, the 2011 salary ordinance, to bring salaries of probation officers into compliance with the 2011 minimum salary schedule for probation officers.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Salinas.
I move for first and second reading of 11-48 and refer to council as a whole.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Salinas, second by Councilman Opinka, that we move 11-48 on first and second reading by title and to refer council as a whole. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We don't allow cell phones in our council chambers, and I thought that has been noted prior to. So if you have a cell phone, please cut it off. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
President Higgs, that concludes the ordinances for introduction.
Thank you, Clerk Golick. Next on the agenda is a resolution number 10.
Item A, Resolution 11R-13, sponsored by Councilman Salinas. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Hammond authorizing the filing of an annual action plan application and designating signatories for payment vouchers on letters of credit for the 2012 annual action plan programs.
Chairman,
Councilman Salinas.
I'll move for 11-R13 be passed.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Salinas, second by Councilman Hinojosa, that we pass Resolution 11-R13. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Any discussion on the resolution? Any discussion on the resolution? Roll call vote on the resolution.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes. Resolution passes, 9 in favor, 0 are absent.
President Higgs, that concludes the reading of the resolutions.
Thank you, Clerk Golick. Number 11 on the agenda is new and unfinished business. New and unfinished
Mr.
business.
Chairman.
Councilman Salinas.
Yes, under third final reading, ordinances, final passage, I would like to bring out 1140 for vacating of the alley.
Councilman, I'm gonna need you point of order to suspend the rules.
Court order to suspend the rules.
Second.
Okay, I need you to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a suspension of the rules. Make a motion. 1140,
1140.
yes.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Salinas, second by Councilman Hinojosa, that we suspend the rules. Roll call vote on the suspension.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes. Motion passes, 9 in favor, 0 are absent. Councilman Salinas, we are now under suspension of the rules.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would like the clerk to read the 1140.
Ordinance 11-40, sponsored by Councilman Salinas. Petitioner is the Hammond Redevelopment Commission. An ordinance vacating a portion of alley line between lots 1 and 2 of Rimback and Sibley addition to the city of Hammond, Lake County, Indiana.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Salinas.
I move for final passage of 1140.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Salinas, second by Councilman Spitali, that we pass 11-40 on its third and final reading. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
what is 1140?
The vacating of the alley on Rimback in Sibley, I think it is.
Does that have anything to do with property in question? What, Mr. Gamez?
No, it's parking lot. Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Councilman Salinas.
Mr. Bryan?
Brian, you've been paged to the podium again. How about that? Our city planner. Let's give him a round of applause.
The alley is, if you are familiar with the Goldblatt's property, it is an alley that's located on that parcel, and it's currently under construction for a parking lot. So it's not related to Mr. Gomez, or Reverend Gomez's property.
Is there any other discussion as it relates to the vacating of the alley? It's going to be an interesting next 4 years. I see it already. Any other discussion? Any discussion? Roll call vote on 11-40.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 9 in favor, 0 are absent.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
while we're under suspension of the rules, I'd like to bring out the development agreement among the City of Hammond, Indiana, City of Hammond Redevelopment Commission, and City of Hammond Economic Development Commission. PCS Hammond LLC regarding Gibson Yard project. Please.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Kowinski and second by Councilman Spitali that we bring out the agreement for development agreement among City of Hammond, the City of Hammond Redevelopment Commission, City of Hammond Economic Development, and PCS Hammond LLC, Gibson Yard Project, dated November 1, 2011. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski?
perhaps we could entertain either one of the city department heads, either Bobby Lendy or Chief of Staff, on why it's important to bring this out today.
Right.
Or whoever may be appropriate.
It's been motion now. First of all, we gotta agree to bringing it out, and it's been motion. Okay. And second, so we need to have a roll call vote on that, and then we can go into the discussion part, okay? So, Clerk Golick, can we get a roll call vote on bringing out this development agreement, please?
Markovich. Spitali. Vines.
Yes.
Kowinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 9 in favor, 0 are absent. Now, you can proceed. Attorney Westland, Chief of Staff, Kevin Smith, Attorney, City Controller Bobby Lindy. Who's gonna start?
I will start, Mr. President, if that's okay.
That's fine, Attorney Westland.
My name is David Westland. I represent the Hammond Redevelopment Commission. We've worked very hard on the development agreement that you have before you. Today with me is Kevin Smith, who's represented the Civil City, Mr. Lendy, the Controller, Mr. Daverton, you know, but behind me, Ray Foster from Potash Corp., Jack Lynch from Potash Corp., Jason Wiggins and Brian Smith from Ernst & Young, who's with Potash Corp. As I explained to you a little bit in your caucus, the agreement you have before you is a development agreement where PCS Potash plans to build a regional distribution center that would house approximately 125 to 135 tons of their product, an office building or an office, locomotive shed, and some other ancillary types of improvements. They would begin construction very quickly, and one of the reasons we wanted the development agreement before you as soon as possible is that Potash, I think, is ready to go. The project itself, which is sort of the first phase, as Mr. Dobberton told you, of what we hope to be an economic development for the entire Gibson Yards area, but this first phase would be a $60 to $70 million improvement on an area that is desperately in need of redevelopment. The project itself would create approximately 225 temporary construction jobs pursuant to a project labor agreement that was entered into between Potash and the unions, and additionally would approximately create 25 permanent jobs between IHB and Potash. As I said, this is phase one. The development agreement that's before you for consideration calls for the city to provide $10 million in incentives to the developer through the issuance of economic development bonds. Those bonds would be backed by TIF revenues generated by the project and proceeds therefrom. Essentially, the payment structure to the developer calls for the first four equal payments of $2.5 million. The first payment to be made essentially sort of coincides with when they start their project, and then 1 year later, $2.5 million. 6 months after that, so it would be 18 months into the construction, $2.5 million, and then 2 years, which is the time limit they have to complete construction, although in speaking to the Potash folks, they're hoping to get off the ground and have the project completed, but the outside date under the agreement is 24 months. And with that, Tom, you want to add to that?
Mr. President, members of the council, I just want to add.
Please
when we
state your
talk-
name for the record, please.
Tom Daverton, Chief of Staff. When we talk about creating jobs, we're talking about 25 to 30 permanent jobs that pay an average wage of $82,000. And we've all talked before about the economy being sluggish, the difficulty in creating good-paying jobs. $82,000 is more than a good-paying job. It's an excellent-paying job. This development agreement is necessary to be passed as soon as possible so that, in turn, Potash can begin construction on this project. It has the full support of the Northwest Indiana Building Trades Union. As we mentioned before, I have a copy of the PLA. I actually gave it to Councilman Markovich. He now has it. The folks from Potash actually are meeting, I believe, Thursday, correct me if I'm wrong, with the Hammond contractor group. So they're working already with local contractors. This is an exciting opportunity. As Mr. Westland mentioned, this is an opportunity that will be phase one in what we believe to be a multifaceted project at Gibson Yards that could result in literally hundreds of additional jobs. Thank you. Kevin?
Kevin Smith?
That's right.
Kevin is always calm, no matter what.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kevin Smith on behalf of the Civil City and the mayor this evening. I just wanted to add a little bit to what both David and Tom said regarding this agreement. As the council is well aware, and many of you were present at the mayor's press conference with Potash downstairs, the mayor is in full support of this agreement. He's already signed it, as has the Economic Development Commission, which I know Councilman Spitali and Councilwoman Venez were present at that meeting last week, and they've also signed it. This is, in speaking with the mayor and his excitement about this project, it's not just because Potash is coming, it's because what Potash brings to this part of the city and what this project opens up for the future for this part of the city. I believe, I know Mr. Talon's here tonight, and his group at his department are very excited about not only this part, but phase 2 and phase 3. And it's a belief that Summer Street and the area in and around Gibson Yards will be fully and further developed as the years go on, because Potash is such an anchor. And similar to other projects around the city, I could point to Walmart for the most recent example. When you bring something that is an anchor, other things follow. And we believe that this project will be one of those projects of a more of a, less of a retail, more of a commercial industrial type of project, which the city, I believe, sorely needs. And so it's a great win for this city. As the mayor pointed out, this was a competitive process. And it's not one where Hammond was the only potential suitor. There were several cities around the Midwest. And to be able to say that City of Hammond, the mayor, the city council, and its several boards and commissions were able to bring this type of product and this type of company to the city is something that we should all be proud of. So with that, Mr. President, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Bobby, what do you want to say? The financial wizard.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Hammond Economic Development Team and the guys you see in front of you and the Potash Corporation has spent countless hours tailoring a financial package for this project. The last big project that we had that most of you saw was the Cabela's project. And it was a big deal. And the reason it was a big deal is, like Kevin said, is we were able to offer that type of package when we have an area that has not been developed and we're having issues developing it, and then we find a user who is going to come in and create assessed value for the city. And they're going to create this assessed value where there has been none. And in the case of Summer Street, there hasn't been any for years there. We're going to create that assessed value. We've tailored this financial package that's going to have a shorter payback than most of the other projects that you guys are used to. It's financially a great deal for the city of Hammond. As Kevin said, Potash is going to drive development both ways down Summer Street and south down Indianapolis Avenue, or Indianapolis Boulevard. And that development is just going to further create the assessed value and further increase the ROI, the return on our investment in this project.
Well, I will say this. I mean, I am excited about the fact of that property being developed, and hopefully it'll be an anchor to some additional development in that area as well. But I certainly want to see Wilkmar completed, and that has been sitting stagnant for a number of years. So, just so you know that, okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
we've heard from Hammond's people. Can we hear from Podash's people and tell us a little bit about themselves and so forth and that? Seeing how we've never had the pleasure of meeting any of these gentlemen.
Sure. Sure, good evening. Jack Lynch, Senior Counsel with Potash Corporation. Pleased to be here tonight on behalf of the company. This is an exciting project for PCS. We've been working on this project for some time with the city, and it's a very important strategic project for the company. It's going to be a new regional distribution center. We're going to be able to position product closer to our customers. It's going to make for a much more efficient supply chain for the company, so we're better able to serve our customers throughout the Midwest. And Hammond, we've decided is an ideal location for this facility, and we look forward to working with the village on this project, completing it, and I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Mr. Lynch. It is Mr. Lynch, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Please address the president.
Mr. President, what's that question, Mr.
Councilman Spitali.
Mr. Lynch, I've had a few phone calls since this all came about. Is there any issues with any kind of environmental problems that we could have loading, unloading these cars?
No, there should be no environmental concerns whatsoever. The primary product we're talking about here is potash. It's potassium chloride. It's a common fertilizer. It's used to fertilize soybeans, corn. You'll find this fertilizer in a bag of fertilizer you'll buy from a store to fertilize your lawn. So it's going to be a totally enclosed building. There's really no environmental issues whatsoever.
Coming through silos, that'll be the loading onto the cars would come through a silo.
It's going to be unloaded from a hopper car into a conveyor system into the building, an underground conveyor system, and then it'll be reloaded through the same type of conveyor system.
Chairman?
Councilman Markovich.
Marcus Construction and Dome Corporation, who are they, and are they going to build your buildings, or?
Yes, Marcus Construction is going to be our general contractor, and Dome is going to be a sub, but those are the two main contractors for the construction of the facility. That's correct.
Now, how many of their own people are they going to be bringing in to run the project here? Do you have any idea?
They will have some. I'm not sure. We're not sure exactly the breakdown, but there will be some people from those companies who will be supervising the construction of the project.
Comment was made earlier that they're meeting with the Hammond Contractors Group Thursday. Is that the right title of the group that they're meeting with, or is it?
Hammond Contractors.
Yes, that's correct.
And when and where is that meeting going to be?
Thursday afternoon, it's over at the Lake County Convention and Visitors Bureau. They're having a dinner meeting at 4 p.m. and that's when they're meeting.
That's Thursday?
Wednesday? Wednesday? My apologies, Wednesday.
Mr. President, may I ask a question?
You may do so, Councilwoman Poland.
You know, the bulk of your product goes out on rail. How much truck traffic?
The truck is an option. It's really the main purpose of the facility is for bringing unit trains into the yard and then and breaking the trains down to smaller car segments and transporting those out through the other end of the yard. The truck traffic is going to be minimal.
How minimal?
You know, at this point, we're not exactly sure. We want that as an option, but you know, it could be 5%, 10%, the product going through that facility.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Markovich.
Mr. Lynch, I mean, we thank you for coming here, but I must admit, this paperwork was just handed to us, several councilmen, just today. So we're more or less trusting you. We're trusting, you know, Mr. Westland and everybody else that, you know, any and all problems would be, you know, straightened out and so forth and all of that. And we welcome you here. Looking forward to working with you. And we know that, you know, Governor Daniels is bringing over a lot of companies from Illinois. From what I understand, the last report, they brought 16 Illinois companies to relocate from Illinois over to Indiana. We welcome you, you know, as a good neighbor and so forth and that. And we just ask that you weren't in the caucus, but, the questions I asked that, what's considered local employees? And I know they're always talking about that Hammond does not have qualified employees to work there or anything like that or whatever. Granted, you have a project labor agreement with the unions. That building, or none of that work would be done unless you signed on with the unions because they would be setting up pickets, and you don't want to go through any of that. Is that going to be a union shop after that, do you know, or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure. In terms of the permanent workforce, I can't speak to that right now.
You're not going to be the plant manager or anything, are you?
No, I'm not.
Can you introduce the other gentleman here with you?
Sure,
please?
Ray Foster.
But before he does that introduction, I just want to say this. I haven't heard of any jobs coming to Hammond making that kind of money in a long time, so I applaud that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're happy to be here. This, like I said, this is a very important project for the company, and we look forward to working with the city of Hammond and to complete the construction of the project and going forward beyond that.
Starting off at $82,000, I mean, hey.
Mr. Chairman?
Pretty nice piece of change.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Markovich.
Since you brought up about salaries, it says 25 permanent jobs with an average salary of $82,000. You can have 12 jobs at $120,000, and you can have 12 jobs at $40,000. I hope it's not going to be that way.
No, I think it's, when we say average, that means that
Right.
makes your
I mean,
approximate salary
if you split the
for all the
difference,
jobs,
if you
right.
take 40 from one and add it to the other, I mean, that's,
No,
granted, the management and so forth are going to be paid higher money, but
No.
when you take an average, I mean, that's the way you can work out averages on salaries, too.
Yeah, no, when we say 82,000, we mean those jobs will be approximately 82,000 each, right?
And my last statement would be only that I would hope that those residents in Hammond are considered, because we do have a lot of people that don't have jobs here in Hammond. So I know you're looking for high-skilled and labor individuals and people that can pass drug tests and all that, but please consider those from Hammond.
Sure, they will be considered.
And Mr. President, one of the things that Mr. Felgenhauer, and I apologize, press conference said, one of the reasons that Potash chose Hammond was because of its skilled labor force. That was something, that was one of the things that gave us a leg up over some of the competing areas.
Thank you, Attorney Weston. Is there any other discussion as it relates to the passing of this development agreement? Any other discussion? You may have a seat, sir. Thank you.
How about, thank you.
He's going to introduce the other guy.
Is there some, I guess they want to meet you two. So.
Ray Foster, Potash Corp.,
And your title?
Director of Warehousing at our rail fleet operations.
That's it, I think. Economic development is always good for a city. It stabilizes the community, and it brings wealth. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, I need a motion to pass the development agreement and a second. Is there a motion on the floor? Can I get a motion to pass the development agreement?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
I'll make that motion to pass this PLA.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Kowinski.
Excuse me, if I can just get it right. It's a
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Councilman Kowinski.
Correctly, it would be the development agreement.
Development agreement. That would be correct. Okay, so there's a motion to pass the development agreement.
Second.
And then second by Councilman O'Pinker. You losing your voice, Councilman O'Pinker? Is there any discussion on the passing of the development agreement? Development agreement among City of Hammond, Indiana, City of Hammond Redevelopment Commission, City of Hammond Economic Development Commission, and PCS Hammond LLC Reed Gibson Yard Project dated November 1st. Any other discussion? Roll call vote on the development agreement.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, welcome to Hammond.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We are still under new and unfinished business, new and unfinished
Mr.
business.
President,
Councilman Spitali.
I was approached a week ago by a member of Joanne Matanovich's family, and they're having a mass for Joanne on December 11th at 9 a.m. at All Saints Church. They would appreciate anyone that would like to attend. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President. Point of order, Mr. President. Before we do that, motion to go back into the regular order of business.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Host and second by Councilman Opinker that we go back into the regular order of business. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Regular order of business. We're back in the regular order of business.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
are we under new and unfinished business?
New and unfinished business.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Poland.
on Thursday at O'Bannon School, we will have a South Hammond Crime Watch meeting wherein anyone who has issues with the closing of 174th Street and 175th Street at Calumet Avenue should come out and voice their concern. This meeting will start at 7 o'clock p.m. and will go on for a couple hours, but it will be at O'Bannon School in the cafeteria, and that would be this Thursday. So please come out and express your concerns.
Thank you, Councilwoman Poland.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vanasse.
I would request that Councilman Spitali make that announcement again about the Mass for Joanne Matanovich. I missed the date.
Yeah, that mass was December 11th at 9 a.m. at All Saints Church.
Thank you.
Are we gonna get a flyer or something in regards?
Yeah, she's gonna make them.
Okay.
Yeah, she's gonna make them.
Now I need, Councilman Hinojosa, can you, make a motion to reschedule a special meeting for December 19th in the council chambers at 5 p.m.?
Mr. President.
Councilman Councilman, Hinojosa.
Yeah, motion to cancel the December 26th meeting and schedule a special meeting for December 19th at 5 p.m.
Second.
Is there, wait a minute, we need to go back to the, we're doing it under the regular meeting, but we need to actually go revert back. Right, Berger? So that would be official? Or is that acceptable? No. You don't have to suspend the rules to? Okay. So it's been motioned by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilman who? You second? Councilman Salinas, that we have a meeting scheduled for December 19th at 5 p.m. in the council chambers with the council December 19th at 5 p.m. and cancel the meeting on December 26th at 7. Is there any discussion? Okay? Any discussion? So we'll have two meetings back to back in December. Yes. Any discussion? Roll call vote on the meeting on the 19th.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vanasse.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 8 in favor and 1 is absent. New and unfinished business. New and unfinished business. Councilwoman Vanasse.
Yes, I'd like to announce that since we're not going to have a council meeting before this date, on Saturday, December 3rd, The city of Hammond is hosting a holiday parade beginning at Gavitt School, going down 175th, and then heading north on Indianapolis Boulevard. It's a great family event, so please, everyone, bring your family and come out. It begins 10 a.m.
Holiday parade, December 3rd. Any other new and unfinished business? We'll be in attendance with my float for the kids. It's all about the kids. They are the future.
Mr. President.
Councilwoman Vines.
Yes, also, I'd like to announce that on Friday, December 16th, the Eastside Community Council is sponsoring their annual holiday treats giveaway. This is a toy drive for the children in the city of Hammond. They're looking for donations. If anyone is interested, please, you can contact me, or you can contact Sherry Roberts. I have her email address if anyone is interested. Thank you.
Any other new and unfinished business? Any other new and unfinished business? I'd like to wish all my constituents, my mom and my family, a happy Thanksgiving and a safe one. And to all my colleagues, may you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving next week.
Mr. President.
Wow, it's already next.
Councilwoman Vines.
I'd like to extend those well wishes to the entire city of Hammond, including the constituents of the 3rd District.
Yes. Any other discussion, new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business is now closed. Next on the agenda is public expression. First speaker is Louis Ozo. Lori, pronounce your last, Lori, right?
Yes.
What's your last name?
The last name is Zolno.
Zono.
I live on Forest Avenue. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to take a moment tonight. The council passed Ordinance 1141 to amend and replace the Flood Hazard Area Ordinance 9095. I'd like to remind the council that a portion of Hammond still remains in the floodplain that is from Northcott to the state line. While work continues along the river, we still are at risk not only from the river on the south, but also from the river on the west along state line. Work on the river itself will not be completed until hopefully sometime next year. As of now, we have no firm date on when the work along state line will be completed. I hope the city and the city council will continue to work on behalf of the citizens to bring everyone in Hammond out of the floodplain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker is George Stoyer.
Thank you.
George passes. All right, 9:15. We're out of here. Can I get a motion to?
Motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Salinas, second by Councilman Spitali, that we adjourn from this meeting. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion passes.